beeped at me. Oh, I'm recording now. Oh, this is so, hey, I could have totally done the Neil Young thing. I totally have a video camera here. I didn't know that I had a video option on my, I didn't know.
There's trains coming and it's rolling into town. I just can't wait to
My
get
name
on
is Cara Luft.
And Cara, how long have you been making full-time music for?
I would say about 13 years.
13 years. What was your first band? What was your... Do some name dropping here for a second.
Do some name dropping. My first band? You mean like people that played with me? Or...
Like the band that you toured with and stuff, and you...
Oh, okay. So I did solo stuff for quite a while, and then I started a band called the Waylon Jennies, and I was with them for 3 years, and then I decided to go back and do solo stuff again. So
okay, and there was like a Juno or something.
There was a Juno.
Or an Oscar. It was an Oscar.
Yeah, we won a Juno Award for one of our records called 40 Days. So that was very cool. I actually took it out of its box last year and put it on the mantle. Actually, I don't have a mantle. I had some other flat surface to put it on, but it had been sitting in a box for many years.
Let's call it a mantle. So, I think what was fascinating was how you've really made a living doing house concerts, predominantly house concerts, right? For the last
probably the last. In Canada, I've been doing a lot of house concerts. Yeah, like the last few years, probably the last 2 years, I've been doing most of my gigs in Canada. The last few years have been house concerts. Yeah.
And you're also doing house concerts in other countries, right? You've got sort of built up a circuit, or
it's interesting because house concerts are a relatively new phenomena. I've been touring in Europe quite a bit, and I do the odd house concert in Europe, but it's still a new concept to people over there. But I'm finding more and more people interested in hosting them and trying them out. So that's kind of cool. I think I'm going to Europe in September, and I'm doing one house concert over there. So that's, one house concert, a tour, which is kind of, before I would never even have a house concert on the tour overseas. But 1 to 2 house concerts now seems to be pretty good. Where in Canada, I've been doing primarily house concerts, mainly because I don't have a new album out yet. Once I get a new record out, then I can go back to doing more kind of public venue type gigs. But I really, really love house concerts.
So what's the secret to having a really good house concert?
First, I would say is you have to have a really good promoter, like someone the house concert host, I'll call them the promoter.
Okay.
Somebody who's really gung-ho about getting the word out about having a concert in their living room or whatever space they have. It's interesting educating people about how to put on a house concert and what kind of space. You can do a house concert anywhere. You can do it in the kitchen, you can do it in the living room, you can do it in the garage, you can do it in a backyard. The key thing though is having that person or persons who are hosting it, to get them on board to getting the word out and trying to get them to expand their contacts. So some people are like, oh, I only have 5 really close friends, and I don't know if they're all going to come, or maybe my family will come. So it's like saying, yeah, just spread it out a little bit more and encourage people to come out and support something that's really unique and different. Some people will come to a house concert who don't necessarily like to go to a big public venue, but they like the idea of going and having a nice glass of wine and eating some goodies in somebody's living room and listening to music. So getting somebody on board who's not afraid to pick up the phone and call literally everybody that they know, so that they can get at least 25 to 30 people to come out and make up a really good solid audience for the artist. So I think that's really key, is getting the right people to, or if somebody wants to host, to just encourage them to like go for it. You just gotta get the word out, and don't just trust that if you email somebody once about it that they're going to remember. You have to you have to go for it.
Now, if someone were to set up their own house concert tour, what's the best way to go about doing that? Would you recommend some of these sites that have house concert circuits or contacts out there? I've seen a few of them.
There are a few. I think those sites are probably good as a secondary resource, I think the primary resource is going to be family and friends and fans. Those are the people that love you as a musician and want to support you and are interested in trying this out. Or contacting other musicians and saying, hey, I'm going to be out in Ontario and I'm looking for a house concert host. Can you recommend somebody who might be interested in hosting me? The catch I find with some of the other sites is that everybody and their dog is going to those sites and contacting those people. So I think that the people who are listed as house concert hosts on those sites are bombarded by people being interested or contacting them.
So how much do you typically make per house concert on average?
Well, what I've been finding that most house concerts in Canada and also in the States, there's usually it's either a $15 to $20 ticket price with more concerts leading towards a $20 ticket price, and that's per person. I think kids are I always say kids are free. And sometimes people have a low income option, which I'm always very open to, or a student option, so it would be $10 or $12. And I usually tell hosts that in order to make it feasible, worthwhile for me, and also energy level wise, I need to have 25 people there. And so that roughly ends up being a $500 minimum for me. And I have done some that are less than that, and I've done a lot that are more than that. Do
the promoters typically make any money on that, or
no,
is it their total patrons?
They're usually total patrons. There are a couple of presenters, and I think they stopped calling themselves house concert presenters. They're kind of like a bridge between a house concert and a venue, because there's some legal stuff happening that if the host is going to be taking money from the door, then suddenly their liability goes through the roof in terms of, like, they've now become a public venue. So let's say somebody chokes on a cracker at their house, or chips on the carpet, or breaks their neck going down the sidewalk, and you know, like, there's some legality stuff there. But I've found that for the most part, most of the house concerts I've been doing are private. It's a private party, and people are it's a suggested donation ticket price, essentially, so that there's no
okay, right, yeah. That's
do you know
the
what
way
I mean?
to get around it legally.
And I travel with insurance. Like, as a member of the Musicians Union, I have, I think, $2 million liability. So if somebody comes to the gig and trips on my guitar,
then you would make $2 million.
Then I would make $2 million. Then it would be the best paying gig ever.
That is strategy.
In the musician world, especially in kind of the folk roots community, the word is community, and so we're supposed to kind of be there for one another and supporting one another. And so I think a lot of us have we've all been in a position where we've had to start somewhere, and so I'm very willing to share those contacts. Fire!
So you see yourself making a living doing house concerts? Or? I don't know if I'd say I'm making a living, but define living.
Yeah, that house concerts really are this really great sustainable way for musicians. Like, we talked about making a living, but really for musicians to get out there and do what musicians do, which is play, and to play in front of people, and to share an experience with an audience. And because there is so much competition, I think, for a lot of the public venues, and every artist and their dog is touring now. So if you can, people are buying CDs, and so now artists are getting out there and gigging, which is great. But it's like we're all kind of fighting for the same gigs, and so how can you still play, because that's what you are meant to do, or you want to do, and how do you get that to work? And I think house concerts are a really, really fabulous way to do that.
Thank you so much for taking the time in your little coffee shop sauna over there.
Yeah. Thank you, Nico.